no one sees your vision like how you see your vision, and
Right.
I learned to accept that. So like, I've had to sit down and straight up in my face tell me like, you're stupid for what you're doing. You got 2 kids. Why are you trying to do this?
Right.
You're just dumb. And I'm laughing because I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Right.
I'm gonna take that for fuel anyway. I'm not gonna hate you for you giving me fuel because that's what it really is.
Yeah.
And my mindset changed. My mindset started to change as how I take certain things. Like even now, like I don't take negative as like, okay, I hate you now. I take negative as like, okay, I'm gonna either prove you wrong,
Right.
or eventually I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do, and then you're gonna tell me you're proud of me, or you're gonna be in a different, positive state towards me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And people are saying, well, what are you doing? You should be doing that. And you're like, bro,
Right.
you're tripping. You don't see what I see. You know what I mean? Like, you're not seeing what I'm seeing, and no one will ever see what you see. You know what I mean? So once you understand that, dude, the sky's the limit.
How we doing? Welcome into another edition of the Be Bright podcast. Today we got Eric McConico Jr., a former Bright homie, as we call him, and now current UFC fighter. Eric, if you don't mind, just give the people a little bit of a background about yourself.
How you guys doing? You know, I grew up in California, San Bernardino.
Nice.
And moved from there when I was about 17 up to Oregon. Lived out there in the woods for a minute. And then from there, life just kind of began. but no, man, played college football. Grew up with a single mother. Mom pretty much took care of me and my sister growing up. And that's pretty much it. Been
Cool.
a star athlete. Not star athlete. I've been an athlete since I was in high school. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more. I definitely have a few things I want to ask you to kind of recap all that. You know, I think it's kind of interesting, and what I like most about the podcast is, you know, we've known each other for some time now. I think it's been 4 years. And, you know, is where you're at now in the UFC, which we'll get into. It's like people who don't know you, don't know your story. They just see Eric, the UFC fighter.
Yeah.
But they don't know, you know, everything that you've been through the whole time. And I think that's what I enjoy most, is just learning what people's stories are, because I think we can all learn from them. And what you come to realize is that, like, literally there's no such thing as like an overnight success. It's not like you just came out of the womb and now all of a sudden you're a UFC fighter. No. Plus, you know, you're a family man, like you've had a background in sales, like working with us. So I think there's just kind of a lot to it. But as you kind of think about, let's go to maybe your childhood a little bit. So you grew up with your mom and your sister.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, going through that with a single parent, like at times in my life had a single dad, was raising my sister and I. And, you know, as I look back, it's kind of interesting on that experience, just because it's like you kind of only know what you know at that time, right? 100%. Like when you're like, I was like 3 or 4 to 6 years old, you know, there was like a 3-year stint. And back then, you know, as I think back, it just kind of seemed like normal. It just kind of like what it was. And I don't think I had too many questions per se. I had some good other family members and things like that. And my dad was working, you know, hard to take care of us. But then as you kind of get older, you know, I think it's something that I've definitely looked back on, just a little bit more respect for that individual, for maybe the sacrifices they made. And then
100%.
For me, you know, with certain things, it's like, hey, how do I make sure that as I go on in life that, you know, I become the person that I want to become, right? Without like maybe that other parent seeing things they did or didn't do. Everybody's background's a little bit different, but how do you kind of learn from that and not repeat the cycle? So I guess for you growing up, there any kind of stories or things that kind of stick out to you that kind of shaped who you were in that setting?
I mean, I grew up in San Bernardino, California. A lot of people know about how California was, you know, gang violence and just a lot of bull crap, you know, going around that time. And like you said, like growing up in that environment, you're a kid. You don't know this is your new world, you know, especially understanding that you have kids now.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't know nothing, you know,
Right.
and I didn't either. I thought what I saw, I thought this, I thought that was all normal and this was life.
Sure.
And my mom did not. My mom knew it wasn't normal because she's been there before me. So she got me out of there. I was 17. I cried like a baby. Didn't want to go. No, this is my home. But now being a grown adult, I've understood that like, that was probably the best decision my mom made at that time, because the life that I was getting into, the environment that I was around was not a good environment. And being a kid with no type of guidance or any type of structure, I mean, you're just bound to get into some type of some stuff. You know, a lot of my friends either end up in jail, some of them were dead, you know, and I could have been a statistic. and my mom took me out of there. So that's something that helped mold me into the way I think now.
Sure.
You know, my brain has opened up to a different view of things when I make my decisions and who I trust and don't trust and open up and not open up and all those type of things. And I guess I'm much. My mom, dude, she speaking about my mom, is just like as I got older, I got more kids, got 5 kids, and my mom, all she did was like work, and that's what she had to do, a single parent. So that's probably the reason why I'm the way I'm now. Is all I know is work, grind.
Right.
And eventually something will happen.
Sure.
Eventually.
Yeah, no, and you are a statistic, but you're a good statistic, right?
Yes,
of
became a good statistic.
That made it out and made it through. And I think, you know, as you kind of go back to the principles of success, whether it's in, you know, being a parent, a father, whether it's personal, like, you know, with health, with what you're trying to accomplish in UFC, whether it's sales, business, like usually always comes back down to those fundamentals of consistency and work day after day after day. Because one thing growing up doing sports, I'm sure I was nothing to the athletic ability that you were and are. But that's what I learned, like playing football, basketball, baseball. It's like, dude, you had to go out there and practice when it's raining. You had to go out there and practice when it's, you know, snowing. You had to go out there and practice when it's hot. So there was no like, hey, let me sit this one out, because if you sit this one out, like your coach's like, cool, you're either not on the team or you're not going to play. So obviously growing up, sounds like sports was kind of a big thing for you. Maybe talk a little bit about your athletic background, what sports you played, and how that ended.
Okay, sorry, but so how I got into sports is because my cousin Antoine actually signed me up when I was about like 14 years old in a Pop Warner football. Gotcha. I really didn't. I thought that was the sport for me. My cousin, you know, looked up to him. He was like their father figure growing up for me. God rest in peace to him. And that's what got us, and that's what got me into football. And you know, I was like, oh, I'm a football player, and I got into football, and I'm all like, I ended up going from high school, did pretty decent in high school.
Sure.
Ended up going to college. With college, that's when I understood like academics is a big issue in college. Like,
gotcha.
You got to have grades. Like, you got to have good grades if you're going to participate in any sports. And I didn't do that, so I ended up having to figure it out. And eventually, I tried football again and figured it out. Wasn't going on, and you know, I wrestled when I was in high school. I had one of my buddies who's not here with me, not here anymore. When I was in high school, he was just like, man, I think you'd be a really good wrestler, man. I think you'd be a good wrestler. And I'm like, man, I ain't wearing no singlet, bro. Like, all my junk hanging out. And like, who does this, bro? Right. Like, you know, I'm from the city. I'm not a country boy. We know, like, we don't do that. End up doing it, you know, to prove a point because someone said I couldn't do it. So once again, I don't know if you want to call it ego or what type of mentality, but the mentality came out of like, no, I'm prove you wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Up wrestling, went to state, got disqualified, having a bad attitude. That's what I would say, having a bad attitude.
Okay. Want to talk about that or not?
Well, I mean, the dude, I won, but the referee had beef with our coaches, and it just was like, you know, one of those things where he had an opportunity to screw our team over. And he took it, and I mean, I allowed it because maybe I shouldn't have thrown a tantrum tantrum. If I didn't throw a tantrum tantrum, then nothing would have happened. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's my fault. But football didn't work out. So, you know, I was a college kid, 22 years old, 21 years old. And, you know, you still get the bug. You still got the itch to compete or to do something, you know. I've been doing it since I was 15. So, and that was the only thing that brought me some type of clarity in life.
Gotcha.
So I ended up going to some jiu-jitsu class. Liking it because I wrestled in high school. So, I can do this. And for like that summer, for like a month, I would do this jiu-jitsu class. And the money, you know, I started to feel bad because I couldn't pay for the membership. I really didn't know how things went down. So I stopped attending, you know, because I didn't want to be doing that for, you know, I feel like a moocher, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I stopped doing that. Then years passed. I was like 23, 24. And I was having a daughter. I have word that I was going to have a daughter. And I was like, man, dude, I started to think, like, what am I going to bring to my kid and my family?
Right.
Like, you know, I'm not a sit at the desk type of guy or blue-collar guy, you know. At the time, that's what I was thinking. I guess downgrading myself or whatever. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. You know, I'm an athlete. I'm going to try to go compete in fighting again. Yeah. I'm going to not compete in fighting again, but I'm going to try to compete in fighting. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I did. And I just stayed on that track from then till now, and this is where I'm at now. And I mean, I'm glad I kept on it because me and my wife, we went through a lot of, like you said in the beginning, man. Like there's a lot of stuff you go through. People just see what they see. They say, "Oh, you're in the UFC,"
Sure.
but they'll understand all the stuff that went down. 10
Right.
year span, a lot of ups and downs. You know. Drove down to Arizona. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all types of stuff. You remember the situation with us? Like a whole bunch of stuff. And that's what got me to here now, man.
Yeah. No, there's some about that obviously when you're going through it, it's kind of hard to appreciate the journey. Yeah. Like the tough times because and I think it's true for all of us. Sometimes maybe you have a day, a week, a month, a year where you're just like, what? What's going on? Like, I'm not, maybe frustration of like, hey, I've put so much in and I haven't quite seen the output. But like you said, you just kind of keep going and going and going and going. And somehow it kind of works out, which I think makes your story even crazier because it's not like you grew up like fighting, right? It's not like you grew up in jiu-jitsu. It was like, yeah, you had some athleticism and you wrestled and football and stuff, but then like you just made a decision that like this was going to be your path. And so I guess for anybody out there that like, I know with me, it's like sometimes we have these weird moments in life to where maybe you can't really even explain it because there's probably no logic behind like, hey, Eric, go be like a jiu-jitsu fighter, right? Like it's not like you go to college and somebody's like, hey, Eric, I think you'd be really good at this and this is a great career path. It's like you're going so far against the grain that I'm sure there was countless people that said, you're dumb, stop, you're stupid, whatever.
Dead in my face.
Yeah, and how did you kind of what got you through those times to where it's like people are telling you to your face, behind your back, all around, just like what are you doing?
I at that point in my life, I think that I was so mature in my brain to where like I didn't care because like no one sees your vision like how you see your vision, and I learned to accept that. So like. I've had to sit down and straight up in my face tell me like you're stupid for what you're doing. You got 2 kids. Why are you trying to do this?
Right.
You're just dumb. And I'm laughing because I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Right.
That's all I know. I know I'm gonna prove you wrong. That's in my mind. I'm gonna prove you wrong, dude.
Right.
And that's what happened. And then I get a call. Hey man, those days back in the day when I said so and so.
I don't really mean that.
I really didn't mean that, man. I'm actually proud of you. I'm very proud of you. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like. I'm gonna take that for fuel anyway. I'm not gonna hate you for you giving me fuel because that's what it really is.
Yeah.
And my mindset changed. My mindset started to change as how I take certain things. Like even now, like I don't take negative as like okay, I hate you now. I take negative as like okay, I'm gonna either prove you wrong,
right,
or eventually I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do, and then you're gonna tell me you're proud of me, or you're gonna be in a different, positive state towards me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And whatever, like. Whether I don't know, I just try to look at the positive outcome now.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, there's still people now probably saying that about me, but they say this about everybody.
Sure.
It's not just me being me. This is the world. Like you can be. It doesn't matter what you. I'm pretty sure you've dealt with the same thing. In the beginning of your business, people are saying, "Well, what are you doing? You should be doing that." And you're like, "Bro, you're tripping. You don't see what I see." You know what I mean? Like you're not seeing what I'm seeing, and no one will ever see what you see. You know what I mean? So. Once you understand that, dude, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Because you could do whatever you want to do as long as you put a vision on it, man. No one sees what you see, bro.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point because, and I think it's true, like studying like a lot of the greats like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, some of those people, it's like, it's kind of a lonely road. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what your daily routine is, but I'm sure we'll get into it is like what you're doing stuff that nobody wants to do over and over again, and I think, that's really what success comes down to because at the end of the day, there's one of my favorite poems. It's called The Man in the Glass, where it just talks about essentially it doesn't matter about other people's opinions or anything else. Like at the end of the day, can you look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm proud of myself and I know what I'm doing and trust that because it can be hard, dude, especially I can't imagine with having, wife, kids. Like, I'm sure there was outside influence, maybe from family, from, friends saying, hey, you got to get a real job to provide. But you just saw what you saw and you're able to continue with it. So I guess for you, when it comes down to, kind of switching a little bit now. So you start fighting, right? How long ago did you start your fighting career?
I started my fight career about, I would say, 10 years.
Okay.
And then I took like 3 years off.
Okay.
Like before I took a 3-year period off from a competition. So like I would train here and there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like training like I was before.
Sure.
And I took 3 years off from that. So I mean, That's pretty much it. I started back up and I actually moved down here. So
Okay.
when I first came down here and I was working with you guys, I wasn't training at all. I was trying to get my foot back with. I didn't even know for sure if I still wanted to do it because I had 4 kids, you know, and I'm all like, fuck. You know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
gotta make some money.
Oh, dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like solar, you make some good money, you know, and I was like, all right, well, if I can make some good money, I can probably go train. This is a real laid back job. I just gotta, not laid back, but just like better than other jobs I would want to go do.
Sure.
With a higher reward. You know what I mean? It didn't work out like that, but it is what it is. But I still had the itch, man. I still had the itch, and my wife kept telling me, like, man, you know, we came down here for you to continue to fight.
Right.
So if that's what you're gonna do, you know, do it. Let's figure it out. And I'm like, all right, you know, I'm about figuring it out. And that's what happened, man. We went through a lot of stuff, and end up getting on that track, man. The consistency that we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. Consistency. I figured out my plan. I figured it out, and I just went balls to the walls to it, man. Balls to the walls. And when I was able to do it, I can. And when I wasn't, I wasn't. And I just told myself, like, I'm just going to keep showing up.
Sure.
Just keep showing up. And at the lab, because that's where I train at, it's the lab. I mean, it's just a great place to be at, man. And what I mean by that is it's not like that's what everybody says. When I mean like it's a great place to be at, because when you start to get older, you start to understand your environment makes you who you are. And at the lab where I train at, everybody has a good positivity.
Right.
Everybody has success. Everybody wants to be great. Everybody wants to do this sport.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So when you go into a gym where everybody, even from amateur to the highest level, we have the highest level. Ben Henderson, Jared Cannonier, Mario, Marcus, Kyler, all these guys are in there. All these guys, highest level, lowest level, everybody has that same mentality.
Sure.
Of like, I'm trying to get this work in.
Yeah.
So when you go there, you're like, I'm trying to get this work in, and that's what it's about. And everybody's business like that.
Right.
We're a brotherhood. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm gonna look out for you, look out for me. You know, I just got done fighting, and I'll go help. All right. You got a fight coming up. I got to go help you, man. I got you, bro. I'll come in, and that's what you want, man. In the gym, you want that because you want everybody feeding off that same dream. You know, you are who you're around, right?
Sure.
And that's another thing I think what made me get into the position that I'm in is being at the lab.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So surrounding yourself with people, you know, and it's kind of, I guess, cliche, but they say success leaves clues. You know what I mean? That it's like you want to do something, you know, find somebody that's doing it at that level and see what they're doing and try to replicate it. Now, you were doing it for 10 years. You took 3 years off. Was there ever a point, like after you started training, like maybe when you wanted to quit again before you kind of hit that level to like, wow, I can really do this at the highest level? Any experiences like that kind of stand out to you?
Every fight I went into, I'm sitting here thinking to myself like, dude, fuck, man, that money. I got 5 kids, man. We're doing this, I'm doing that, but I'm at it again. And, you know, to be honest with you, before I got actually signed to the UFC, me and my wife was talking about so what kind of saved me this Firewash job. I got hooked up with this Firewash job.
Okay.
And I worked there for about almost 2 years, and it was good. You know, they paid us $30 an hour.
Cool. And
it was good setup for me and my training and be able to be home with my they ended up discontinuing.
Okay.
You know, it was a temp job to them. It was only supposed to last for a month, ended up lasting for 2 years. So a month before I even thought I was going to be in the UFC, I got fired. But I got scheduled for a fight regionally.
Yeah.
And they were paying me a little bit more. So I was like, okay, I can cover my rent after this fight. You know, if I win this fight, I can cover my rent. And then I can figure out what we're going to do. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this because these bills ain't going to never change.
Of course.
And you got to show up like the moon and the sun, bro. You got to show up every month with some bills paid. And so it was a blessing from God. It was a blessing that, you know, I got signed to the UFC, man. And I literally got signed a week before I was scheduled to fight regionally.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, dude. Oh, it was crazy. So it was like going into not knowing, you know, I was pretty much walking in a dark forest for the past couple of years of like, you know what I mean? Like,
no light.
I don't know, no light at the end, dude.
Right.
You know, me and my one of my friends, Abdul, we talk about it so many times because we worked at the same places. And it's just like we're just blindfolded walking. And, you know, I got a family.
Sure.
I got 5 kids. I got a wife. I'm putting them through so much. I'm putting my wife through so much stress because kids are kids. They don't know what's going on. They just they can make their own imagination and do whatever. You know what I mean? But my wife, I'm putting my family through all this for my dream.
Sure.
That starts to play with your head, man.
Of course.
Plays your head. I'm driving, and then I just got fired from a good job. It's like well, not fired. Let me not say fired because I
Sure.
didn't get fired because I was in trouble. They discontinued it.
Yeah.
And it starts to put things in perspective. Like, okay, this is starting to become a selfish act.
Sure.
A little bit. You know what I mean? Like, damn, dude, it weighed a lot on me, man. There's a lot of nights crying, a lot of nights driving home, a lot. You know what I mean? Went through every emotion, bro. And I just kept telling myself I just gotta keep showing up. This will be the one. This will be the one.
Yeah.
This will be the one. I gotta knock this dude out. This is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the one. And luckily, it wasn't the one. I just got signed. You know what I mean? And I ended up going against a good dude who he put the work on me. You know what I mean? But It is what it is. But yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, I went through every emotion, trying to continue this dream.
Yeah.
And
So what's that process like? So obviously you're probably competing in some leagues like regionally or like in the state regionally. Like how did the UFC find out about you? Like how did you get signed with them? Just maybe walk us back through that. Was it a phone call? What was it?
Oh man, I got a great management, Iridium, real good management. I got a great coach, and they set me up with the right fights to put me in the right position.
Sure.
And I think the UFC got eyes on me a little bit more because my age is a factor, but they got a little eyes on me when I fought a UFC vet. And I finished a UFC vet. His name was Maki. Finished him, and that's when kind of I started being on the radar of like a short notice fight. And he goes,
Sure.
short notice fight. And I got a couple of those. There's a couple, hey man, you might be this weekend. Can you make weight? Can you make weight? And I'd be like, okay, yes. And then it doesn't happen. So I'm all like, are they playing with me?
Right.
Because your brain will play tricks on you, man. And then I'm like, all right, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm still show up to practice, still go to practice, still train, still lose weight, still get ready for the next fight, keep showing up. Fought somebody else. I beat him, but the performance could have been a lot better than it was. So maybe he can get signed, maybe not,
Right.
Didn't happen. So then I fought this one guy, finished him in the first round. It was all right, okay. He's finishing people. That's what UFC likes. And I got, like I said, once again, I got great management, man.
Sure.
Like Jason House is the man, bro. Like he's known for getting a lot of fighters into the positions that they want to be.
Sure.
And a lot of them make their dreams come true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just been at my gym, dude. And I was getting ready to cut. Like what happened was my coach called me. First my manager calls me. And he's all like, for one, he's calling me, and I'm all like, all right. It's like 2 days before my fight that I had scheduled regionally. Right. He calls me, and I'm like, oh, he must be telling me, like, hey, man, get ready for this week, so and so, which they usually always do.
Right.
Always coming for my fight to give me some support. And he's like, hey, man, where's your weight at? And I'm looking, I like answered, I'm all like, what do you mean, where's my weight? Do you not know I'm fighting this weekend? I'm good on weight, bro. I'm like, I'm 197. He's all like, all right, good. You're fighting in the UFC next week. I said, what? He said, yeah, bro. I'm coming right back. I said, oh, dude. I was like, I'm not going to get happy.
Right.
Because I've been through this moment.
Sure.
I'm just going to chill. You know what I'm saying? My coach calls me. My coach is all like, hey, man, congratulations. You're in UFC. I'm all like, okay. Still not happy yet, right?
Sure.
Chilling. So I'm like, all right, dude. I'm deprived because I'm cutting weight.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So then they call me back and they're like, oh, the guy didn't want to accept the fight. So let's just focus on the regional scene right now.
Okay.
Okay. Not too bent because I didn't get my hopes up. And then I'm on my way to start doing my weight cut. And I was actually out there with Jared Cannonier. I was in his corner and I was helping him with his fight, like being like a sparring partner or whatever, helping him out, whatever he needed, you know what I mean? And we're on our way to the PI. I was going to cut weight and help him. And then I get a call from my management again. Jason said, hey, man, you're in it. I said, what? He said, you're in it. I said, don't play with me, bro. In those moments, like, don't play with me, bro. Like, like Usher, let it burn. Yeah. Don't say that, man. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, nah, man, you're in. Be next to your phone. You're about to get a lot of emails. And then that's when it just sunk in. I was like, oh, shit, dude.
Yeah.
All this shit. Fucking, I'm about to tear up right now, bro. Right. Like, all this stuff that me and my wife went through these past couple of 2 or 3 years, bro. Damn. Yeah, I'm in it. Yes. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm in it.
Sure.
And the crazy thing is, like, I debuted in Seattle. And I'm originally not, I'm from up there. That's where I started my fight career. Right. Was in the P Northwest, Pacific Northwest. Yeah. And I remember when I first started to like kind of fight, I was like, man, I'd be dope with that UFC event out here. And this was like 6 years ago. I was like, I'd be dope with that UFC event. And I fought on it.
Right.
And that's what ended up happening, just years later. You know what I mean? And fought in Seattle. It was cool, man. It was great. I fought on the same card with some of my old teammates.
Nice.
So one of my teammates that me and him fought as amateurs, and he was so it was just beautiful. It was great, man. It was my moment, and it was cool. And it's another lesson I learned. I lost, but God's gonna bless me, man, because maybe he just blessed me, man. Like, that loss is gonna make a whole different animal.
Sure.
Because it always has. I've lost before in my fights, and I'll come back a lot stronger than I have before. But yeah, man, it was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Crazy.
And that's kind of what's interesting too, is because when you think about the professional realm, it's like there's different levels to all of this, right? Because it's like obviously you have like you started smaller, now you're up in the UFC, and then it's even crazy to think about, inside the UFC, there's different tiers, right? It's 100%. Like there's the GOATs that are like at the very top of the sport, and that, like, obviously that's where you're aiming to go. So, obviously your track record proves that, like, doesn't matter the adversity, whatever, you're going to keep going. I mean, I guess for you now that you're in the UFC, and I don't obviously know how that all kind of looks, but, like, what's next for you? Like, what are you working towards? What's your training? Is it to get another opportunity, another fight? Do you have something on the books? What's kind of next for you?
Right now, yeah, I have a contract with them.
Cool.
I got 3 more fights for right now, and right now I got a foot injury, so right now we're just kind of just waiting on that, waiting for my X-rays and stuff like that, and probably go from there.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I definitely am going to fight again in the UFC, and now I just want to, dude, I just want to be the best, man. Like, that fight just made me realize, like, I just want to be the best.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to train. I just want to be Goku, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no.
I'm just trying to be the next. You know what I mean? Not the next. I'm trying to brand my name. I want to do all those things. I want all of it. I want all of it. All of it. You know what I mean? I don't really care about being famous. I want all the money, man. I got 5 kids. You know what I mean? I want all that for me and my family and my other family, my mom and everybody, man. I just want to grind, bro. You know what I mean? I just want to really, truly grind.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I feel like, people that, especially in the fighting world, it's like, I think you got to be wired a little bit differently. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you see the hat and the shirt and stuff, like ego elite. And it's like, you got to have some self-confidence. I mean, for some of these people listening, a lot of them probably are in the sales world or, just trying to tune in just to learn a little bit more. But, like, are there some things that you've done over the years that, like, I'm sure every time you've went out there and fought and throughout the journey, it's not like you always had this super-sized, like, inner feeling of yourself. I'm sure deep down there's times where you're like, man, am I, like, almost like you feel out of place, like you can't 100%. Do this, like you don't belong. Like, what has been kind of the key for you to switch that mindset to be able to be, like you just said, like, I want to grind, I want to be the best, and, like, nothing's going to stop me, versus maybe at times where you were like, not so sure?
I'll be honest with you, man. I think it was sales, to be honest with you, bro.
Really? Okay.
Like, because I did door to door is like one of the hardest things to do confidently.
Yeah.
To go to a random person and go talk to them. Like, you don't know this person, but it's a job in your mind. You're not realizing, like, you're actually just talking to a random person.
Sure.
And I've been doing sales. I did alarm systems before I came here. That's why I was able to, you guys got me on because I did Vivid for home for alarm sales and came here.
Yeah.
And that helped build my confidence of, like, mental, because it is a grind, man. Like,
sure.
When you go out there and you got to knock on these doors, you get a lot of no's. You get a lot of that's negative energy, kind of like breaking your confidence. Nah, I'm good. No, I'm good. Door slammed in your face. Guns pulled on you.
Right.
All type. Dogs might get less. A whole bunch of stuff can happen when you're out there walking, knocking these doors. And, dude, after you do that and then you go back to the real world, like a different type of world, reality, there ain't nothing. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care, dude. Like, you don't understand. Like, the word no is a triggered word.
Sure.
And when you hear it enough, man, it can break some people.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? And it does. Like, some builders don't know about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's another thing that helped my confidence, man. And I'm still working on my confidence because I don't want to be overly confident. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still humble to understand that, like, you can get touched, and there's everybody has a different life, and people are going through stuff, and you're not
like above other people.
Yeah, you're not, dude. And even right now, I'm a doorman for work. You know what I mean? I do that. I love that. You know what I mean? Like I just straight up, dude. Like, I'm still a human being, bro. But, like, yeah, I think that was one thing that helped me with sales. Growing up how I grew up. You know what I mean? Like, interacting with the things I had to interact. Shaped me to who I am now, and I think that's what fighting. I think that's why it was calling me, man. Because I did martial arts, and I just fell in love with it. I'd never been that in love, and I never been that genuinely wanting to do something consistently.
Sure.
As much as mixed martial arts, bro.
Really.
Consistent is fucking dude. I was lazy, dude. like I like working out, but I didn't like working out like that. I worked out because I played football.
Right.
But, like, once I got done playing football, it was like, I'll go to the gym because it became a routine. But, like, it's whatever.
Right.
But then I got like 280 pounds, and I'm all like, oh, dude, I need to lose weight. So then that was the beginning of like reshaping myself, going to the gym every day.
Sure.
Then I got back down in weight. Then did some alarm system door to door, and I'm talking about. I was nervous. I've never been more nervous knocking on the door. Like, I'm not that nervous getting to the cage. Like, I'm nervous. Everybody have nerves.
Right.
But it's like, we're going to do this.
Right.
But to sit there and knock on the door, bro, and sit there and,
Right.
it takes a couple of times. I know you've seen it.
Oh, for sure.
I know you've seen some rookies like, oh, dude.
I've seen it myself, too. So.
Right. And then all of a sudden, that guy who was like the shaker is now the top seller.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and that's true. And that's kind of cool, though, because it's like when we talk to guys about this job, most people are attracted to door-to-door sales just for the kind of the freedom and flexibility, number one, with schedule. Typically, it's afternoons, early evenings, and then the earning potential. Like, obviously, if it didn't have the potential of earning a lot, people wouldn't be attracted to it. But one thing I've always told people is like, yeah, the money's awesome because that's, we all have to make a living, but it's really cool almost to kind of hear or see the experience. Like you said it, I didn't even bring it up, to where it's like the person you become from doing the job is almost more important than the money that you earn, because of like what you just said. Like most people that come through our doors, I mean, eventually they're going to move on and do something else. So I'm not naive to think like somebody's going to come sell solar for 30 years. That's just typically not the way it goes. I mean, solar hasn't even been around 30 years, but it's really cool to kind of see now, like you just took those skills, those things that you learned, and now those are helping you in a completely different field, like where you're, not as, I mean, it's still mental out there for sure, but like you're doing something physical, right, with fighting, but you can also see how mentally you're way further ahead for having done, alarm cells, solar cells than you would have been before, right? Is that what you're
Help
saying?
for marketing, because I'm also at the brand myself.
Yeah.
I have to know how to talk. Got to know how to have the confidence to talk. You know what I mean? Marketing. Now I'm in marketing.
Sure. Yeah. Marketing yourself. And that's the thing, is everything is sales.
Yeah.
Whether you're, trying to get signed with the UFC, trying to promote yourself, trying to get in for a fight, working with other people that you train with, like everything is sales, even in, trying to sell your wife and people in your life, like, hey, this is my passion. This is what I'm going to keep doing.
A lot of selling with that one.
Man, Eric's been selling all his life.
Man.
But I guess for you, one thing that to maybe kind of capstone this is, as you think back, like you obviously have a very unique story. What do you want your legacy to be? Like 20, 30 years down the road, like somebody looks back, says Eric McConico, like what's your legacy?
What I want, bro, I've been telling my wife, I don't care about what other people know about me. I want my family, I want my kids to remember their grandpa. Like, I want that old school gladiator type shit. Like, like your grandpa, Eric McConico Jr. the third, way back then was a fighter. And he set it out. He set a goal out, and he accomplished his goal. And he went to the highest he can be. So, like, I want to set that tone for my family.
Sure.
And not just my kids and my wife, but, like, even my whole entire family, my bloodline.
Yeah.
Like, I want them to understand that, like, hey, bro, if you got a passion for something, you can do it. Doesn't matter how many times you fall, fail, don't succeed, feel like shit, want to cry, don't want to do this.
Right.
Broke, homeless, whatever it is, you can get it done if you want to do it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all I care about. Like, because at the end of the day, people, like, in UFC, like, these people, I don't see myself being no, like, Anderson Silva. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to remember Anderson Silva and these big names, John Jones, all these type of guys. To me, it's the little things. And my little thing is my family. I want them to remember me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like some gladiator back in the day, king, queen type shit. You know what I mean? Like, Arthur the Third, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
awesome.
That's me.
No, that's cool, man, because I think, to kind of capstone for what we talked about at the beginning, obviously with your upbringing versus what you're the example of now is like, look how in just one generation somebody can be that change. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy to think about it, because I talk to people all the time, is like whether you, like everyone can and has the ability to be a leader, whether it's in your friend group, whether it's in your family, with your wife, with your kids. But like, I think that's what's cool, is like the legacy you're building is going to freaking affect so many people, right? And that's something that obviously, when you were 4, 5, 6 years old, 17 years old, 28 years old, like going through all this shit, like probably the last thing from your mind, or like not even something you even thought about. But it's cool now that you've kind of been through it all to like think, hey, take a second, like what I'm doing is really impactful. Yeah, it's your passion, but like so many people are afraid to follow their passion. They're way more worried about what other people think. And imagine where you would be today if you said, yeah, you're right, I should stop doing this. Let me go ahead and settle for a 9-to-5 job without having taken this risk. But now you've taken the risk and you're reaping the reward. And not only is that going to bless your life, but your family's life and your bloodline, for years to come. That, like, who knows, maybe 30, 40 years they see this podcast somewhere, whatever the internet is at that time. And, it's just like a small thing, but that's the legacy that you're kind of leaving brick by brick, which I think is super awesome. So, well, hey, man, I appreciate having you on.
Thank you for having me.
As such, we have a little gift for you. So this is called Bright Club, sort of like Fight Club, but we can talk about it. We got a shirt for you. Then I know I was talking with Matt and Nate about some of that sponsorship stuff. I want to figure something out with that, just to be able to help support you on your journey moving forward and for the time you spent with us. So thanks everybody for being on. Give Eric a follow. What's your Instagram handle?
I had to change it. Hold on.
Change it. No, you're good.
How to change it, dude. It is.
You're good. He can cut this.
Oh yeah, it's my name, Junior. Eric McConico Jr. That's it.
Eric McConico Jr. Definitely give him a follow. Keep liking and subscribing to the podcast here as we bring you more bright people. Once again, Eric, appreciate having you on, man.
Appreciate it, dude.
Really cool to see some of that's come through here and gone on to be super successful doing something completely different, but seeing that the impact that I think it goes both ways. So appreciate you all tuning in. Check out the next episode. See you soon.